All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy end of year schedule to be with us today. We are talking about the final countdown, preparing for end of year testing. We hope that you're here to learn best practices, tips, and tricks for how to leverage our learning products and practice tests in the classroom. So we have two wonderful experts here with us today, Kim Johnson from LearnKey and Nicole Ross representing CertPREP powered by GMetrix. So without further ado, I'm going to stop my slides and pass it over to them to get us started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Ross. I am the Senior Manager of Customer Experience over at CertPREP, powered by GMetrix. We all have those students that it's the last 30 days, 45 days of school, or sometimes we get in a crunch and we have very little time to get our students prepared for the certification exam. So what we're going to give you here is some tips to help you if that occurs within your classroom. The first thing that you want to do is have your students, once they have redeemed their access code in the GMetrix student panel at gmetrix.net, you're going to have them complete the certification practice exam in testing mode 3 times. To do that, they'll go to test and they'll go to new test. They're going to choose the product that they will be testing on. We're going to demo with Microsoft 365 2019 today. They're going to choose the program, and then you want to choose training mode. Training mode is a mimic to the certification exam. It has the counter that is going down. It has the same type of question stems, the same number of questions there as well, and whatever resources are available in the certification exam are also going to be available here. So I say have them do that 3 times in testing mode to give a more accurate account of where they are. And having them to do it 3 times, there is a large question bank, so it gives them a better chance of hitting something from each of the objectives, so you can know where the focus needs to be. And then it's also because even if the students have been in class and learning this material, they will definitely have retained something. So it's good to see, it'll give you a good baseline of what they have retained, where they're at, where you need to focus at. And then there's also a chance that the students have some of these skills and they just need to focus on what the skills that they don't have. So again, after they've taken it 3 times, we're going to go over to our study guide. And again, we are in the gmetrix.net student panel. And then we're going to go down to the study guide for the exam. Now, for your students, only what they are working on will show up here. I'm working on a lot of stuff, so I have a lot of stuff showing up. So I'm going to choose my word study guide. And then on my study guide, you'll be able to see that it shows the proficiency level. You have the chance to put the upcoming exam date in. So it'll give you a countdown to let you know how many days of preparation that you have in progress. It'll tell you which objectives that you've mastered, and these objectives do align with the certification exam. It'll also tell you your practice exams and your courses, but where you want to focus at here is your proficient topics and your development areas. I say anything under 51% is a development area, and you will see it does not give me a high percentage on any of these because nothing has really been completed with this, but anything under 51% is going to be a development area. And again, once your students have taken the exam 3 times, another thing that it's going to give you is called a quick review. With your quick review, it will tell you the questions that are in your development area. It will tell you how many questions, and you will have the opportunity to take those in training mode where you get immediate feedback and an explanation of the question and answer, or testing mode where you go through. I do suggest having the students taking this in training mode so that they can get that immediate feedback and so that they can get that immediate feedback. And if you put in the number of questions that you want to take, it'll tell you the amount of time that it's going to take you. What I suggest is having students do 30 questions at a time and do it a few times. You don't want to do it all at one time because sometimes you might get, you want it to have different questions. You don't want it to have just go through one set of questions, but to really get the objective, to really understand that subject, you want to get more than one question on the particular topic. So that's going to be your quick review. Another option you have here with your study guide is the option to view all questions and create your own custom exam. With the custom exam, you can create this based on the objectives that you scored 51% or less on. And again, this is what the student is doing. So it's going to require a little teacher intervention here, but this is what the student can do all on their side. And as you're going through the questions, you'll be able to see, it'll give you an indication of if you completed the question, whether you got it correct or incorrect. The orange or yellow circle with the exclamation point indicates that you've had the question, it was incorrect. And then if it's a green check mark, it indicates that you got the question correct. Another great thing here with this, you can add a filter, and you can, any questions that were flagged for review by the student while they were doing the test, you can create a custom test with just those questions. And the student can take those questions in training mode, so they'll be able to get that feedback, that immediate feedback, and help them understand that question. So again, when your students are taking this exam, you want to make sure that they are marking anything that they don't have a complete understanding of, flag it for review so that they can come back to it and they are able to look at that particular question and get the answers that they need. Now, Kim, do you want to tell us how LearnKey works with this?
Thank you so much, Nicole. Everybody, I'm so excited to be here. My name's Kim Johnson. I have been with LearnKey for 15 years, and I'm so excited to help present kind of what this final countdown looks like, the pressure that you're probably all experiencing in trying to get your students tested right now and taking that exam. And we just want to share successful best practices. And I want to just kind of highlight some areas that Nicole's touched on and add to that on the LearnKey side. The major benefit to why LearnKey is offered on the GMetrix platform is that your students have access to both products all in one platform. So going back to these study guides is so incredible that once your students have redeemed both an access code for the LearnKey and the practice test, that's what's going to load all of the content. So this will help identify where they're proficient and where they're still need some development areas that Nicole's highlighted earlier. The major benefit to them accessing a LearnKey code in addition to their practice test code is it's going to outline and specifically go back to those topics in the LearnKey course. So I would highly recommend all of your students that they go back in to those study guides and identify those specific areas before they even sit for the exam or before they sit for their retake. We work with those adult students here at LearnKey, and we require them to go in and review the study guides, and before they sit for that exam that they've passed the practice test with 90% or higher. We find that our students, they get really defeated if they're scoring 700 one time, they think they're all good to go. And then after that, they, if they maybe fail and missed it by 2 questions, they get really, their confidence level kind of decreases from there. So we require all of our students to identify through this study guide, where can I score that 90% or higher? And as they select each objective, everything is going to align back to the LearnKey course so that they can, if a cliff notes, if you will, direct them right back to those topics that they still need to work on that Nicole outlined. So we can see anytime they've redeemed the LearnKey code, the courses are going to show up here directly tied to these objectives and the breakdown here. So I'll go through really quick some other areas and key topics that I think would really help as your students are navigating through this and kind of finishing up for this final countdown, as we keep saying. The one thing I think Nicole's been really passionate about in the years I've worked with her is the vocabulary words, key terms, and definitions. So in every LearnKey course, make sure you guys are utilizing the flashcards that are located here, making sure that your students are familiar with these key terms. If they go in to sit for the exam for Excel and they're, they know format painters, that little paintbrush in the left-hand corner, in the exam, it's going to say using Format Painter, complete these tasks, or using headings, use this task. If they're not familiar with these terms, they may get stuck or miss that question. So these are here and available for you guys to create whatever you'd like, word searches, games, but we feel these are really impactful for your students to understand before they move forward. Also, those links from the study guides are going to come directly back to these specific topics where they're struggling. And they're going to have videos to walk them through exactly what they don't know and what they need to understand a little further. And then keep in mind, this is tracking everything that your students are doing in the system, and you have access to those administrative reports as you go in and pull those as well. The last thing that I think I'll highlight on the left-hand side here, and then I'll probably pass it back to Nicole for some objective reporting in the admin panel. Make sure you guys are downloading these lesson plans. You know, if you're identifying when you're pulling these reports on the practice test and objectives and specific areas you need to focus on right now to get everybody up to speed, these lesson plans are all built in from the home panel, and then downloading these teacher workbooks, which are your answer keys for everything LearnKey, and then the lesson plans are built in the back of the workbook. So this is telling you the objectives, where it aligns with the course, what projects you have in the workbooks to walk them through if you want them to reinforce learning here. So these are really key pieces that'll kind of streamline, if you will, back to where you really need to focus in these last 30, 45 days in testing with your students. So these can be downloaded here from the home tab on the admin panel, and then by selecting course resources, and then selecting whatever title you're currently working with. So I'll just select this one. And then from here, you can download the teacher workbook and any support files that go with that particular course. Okay, and I'll probably pass it back to Nicole at this point to share kind of the custom tests and pulling reports by objective, which is going to be huge to finalize and understand where your students still need more information.
Thank you, Kim. And one thing that I want to reiterate before going over to our reports is that what Kim said, we are very, very pro vocabulary, and all of the LearnKey courses have glossaries in them so that the students have very comprehensive glossaries with access to the words that are going to be used. And going through these, utilizing the resources here, the flashcards, the memory game, the quiz, in different ways are very helpful in the classroom. And also in the LearnKey book, as Kim has shown you, the glossary is also available in that book. And one other thing before I go forward, the study guide, when you're looking at your study guide and you see your domain, you see your objective area, and we're going to see, so this one says navigate within documents and search for text. If this navigate within documents is where your students are struggling at, go over to your courseware and find where it has the objective for navigating within the document. All right, find that objective, and then you can go through the video for that particular objective. The student can access the video and they can go through and get a better understanding. It also is going to be accessible here, where you'll have the words that are going to be within that particular domain. You'll have the videos and you'll have some different questions and the content available for that particular domain, depending on what program that you're going to be using. But having that curriculum along with the practice test is going to be, it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to be key, and it's going to save you a lot of time. So now I'll go over to reports to our admin panel at manage.gmetrix.net. Within here, reports are also going to be key. What we've shown you up to this point is things that the students can easily do on their own in their platform, in their panel, to prepare for the test. Over here is where, you know, the teacher really comes into play. And so what you're going to do here, you're going to log in and you're going to go to reports, and you're going to go to create report. You have test tracking. Test tracking gives you more so individual results, but you want to look at whole class mediation right now with this and see where the class is. So you're going to go to create report. And in here, again, you have general reports and student reports. You do have your course reports here along with your test reports. But we're going to look at our objectives report. And again, you've had your students take those take the exams and testing modes 3 times within the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So you're going to put your start date and your end date, and you're going to choose your category, your product, and then the exam. And it's going to generate a report that looks like this. And that report is going to have all of the objectives on it for the exam. And again, it's aligned with the certification exam. It's going to tell you your number of students that pass, the number that fails, and then your percentage. Anything, just like with the study guide with the development areas, anything under 51% is definitely going to be a development area for your class. Over 51% is more so individual development, but under 51%, we're going to look at developing the whole class. We're going to look at remediation for the entire class, and how you can do that. So you have, say we're 1.3 explain fundamental software concepts. That's going to be a development area. So you go back over to your GMetrix course and you look at 1.3. And all right, in 1.3, you go through that video, go through it with the students. Don't just let it play, but you play it for the class and you pause it at certain points and ask questions. And this is where the workbook is going to come in handy. That workbook has amazing worksheets in it with questions that you can utilize to ask a few thought-provoking questions for your students. So that's going to be your objectives breakdown, but also what you want to do with this is create a custom exam for the students. That custom exam can be created in testing or training mode. You want to do it in training mode so that they can get that immediate feedback and they can get that explanation of what it is. So, so say we have a few things from objective domain 1, 1.3, 1.4, and 1.6. What I'm going to do is go to custom tests. And I'm going to go to create new test. And those are objective 1 that I am going to be focusing on. So I can call it objective. I can call it objective 1. I can name it a date, but you want to make sure that you name it something that's going to resonate with the students. Passing score on the certification exam is a 70%. I like to challenge my student and build their confidence. So I make it 90%. And here I can check training or testing, and I'm going to choose next. And then I'm going to choose my objective, and I'm going to go to Microsoft 2019, and I'm going to look at Word because that's what we're working on right now. I'll choose next, and then I'll look at the objectives. I can filter by the objectives. I can get all of my 1.1 and 1.2. I can add all of my 1.1 questions. I can add all of my 1.2 questions in, and then I can create my custom exam, and it'll give me a code, and I'll assign that code to my students. But that's going to be another great tool for remediation, for helping them, and for looking at where the entire class can work on their the development areas. A few other things that I'd like to give you as a tip for preparing your students in the time crunch is you can complete a practice exam in training mode as a class. You can pull it up on the overhead and you can have the students go through and you can answer the questions and it'll give them that immediate feedback. You can even make it a game, like we do quizzes, Quizlet, Jeopardy, different types of games. You can even make it a game and split them into teams, and they get the points for answering the question, but then also put it to another level, have them be able to explain the answer and give them a point for that. So that's another great activity that you can do utilizing the practice exams. Kim, anything else to add?
No, I think that's amazing, Nicole. And I think it's kind of critical that everybody knows what other resources might be out there. Because I think some teachers are not aware of some of the new features that have been released over the year and on the GMetrix platform. So I think these are great additions, especially from your teaching standpoint, to share. But I think that's it for me.
Completely agree. And as I said, I fully recommend, Certiport has the Learn, Practice, Certify model. And that model is really great transition to get to the certification learning. That's where your LearnKey, that's where your curriculum come into play. Practice is where your CertPREP practice test powered by GMetrix really come into play and completing these exams. So when you put them together, I mean, what else can you do but certify? You can really certify, put them together.
Well, wonderful. Thank you both so much for taking the time out of your day to share this with us. We're really grateful that you were able to share all of these kind of inside tips and tricks. And we know that our educators who are in that final countdown will really appreciate it. So thank you both.
Very good luck to everybody this year.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You will do it. You will get it done.